Hello. I'm just getting this all started here. Let me see if I can pin comment. All right, I actually did it today without flipping the camera, which is amazing. I feel like that always happens. Hi, good morning. 10 o'clock, Sunday. Are we ready to move? How are we feeling today? It's nice and sunny today, not as hot here in New York. I'm excited to move with you. I'm actually pretty sore from yesterday. It's crazy. My inner thighs and my outer thighs, I don't know if anybody had a chance to join yesterday, but it feels, I don't know, it felt very intense. I really felt it on my body yesterday. Oh, any tips to keep in mind regarding diastasis? Yes, diastasis, you always want to focus on keeping your body flat. So any of the roll downs, the roll ups, we want to prevent any sort of coning there. So make sure we're not doing the roll ups, roll downs, not too aggressive of any twists. Trying to think if anything today will be not very friendly. I'll try to call it out today. That might help a little bit. Also, we're going to start a little bit differently today. So if you don't have a ball, make sure that you grab a pillow because we're going to start kind of propped up. So you might want to give yourself like a couple pillows to prop yourself up, which will help. I'm trying to think of any other little things, but I think that will help. A pillow should work if you do not have a ball. And yes, this will be very friendly for pregnancy today, especially in the beginning. We're going to do some arm work propped up on a ball. It'll feel really, really great. Welcome to everybody. It's 10:01. We're going to get started here. Grab onto your prop, ball, pillow. Either one today will really work. Okay, this is going to be 60 minutes, and we're going to start sitting on top of the ball. So you're going to take the ball underneath your hips and directly underneath your tailbone. So you're going to take your feet in kind of a wide stance, and we're going to start by stacking your spine directly on top of the ball. We're going to take a few deep breaths here. You're going to take your hands onto your ribs. You're just going to drop your shoulders. You're going to start to pull in the core. Take a deep inhale, lifting up through the ribs. And then exhale. And you're going to feel your ribs expanding. So deep inhale and exhale. One more. Deep inhale and exhale. And then you're going to stretch your arms out in front of you here, dropping the arms like the shoulders down, almost like you're pressing down to the floor. We're going to start to take your arms out into a T and then pulling your hands forward. So we're starting to find the balance in the center of your body. You're pressing your arms back, reaching your hands forward. So you're keeping the core in, you're pressing the arms back here, and then exhale. So we're really engaging the core in this position, trying to stabilize yourself on the ball. Trying to relax your feet, so your feet are kind of just planted here. Open it out. And we're going to do one arm at a time. So let's take one arm out to the side, pull it back to center, and let's go the other arm. So you're going to check in with your weight, make sure that you're in the center of the ball. We're trying not to shift forward, not to shift backwards. Keep your breathing going. And then also checking in with your legs. We want to feel like your heels are pulling in towards your glutes. So we're trying to turn off the quads, turn off the hip flexors here. Back to center. Let's reach one arm up to the ceiling, drop it down. Let's reach the other arm up and drop it down. So you're feeling yourself lift up off the ball. So we're trying not to fully press down too much. We're pulling the core in as you lift and lift it up. Should be a lot of abdominal here, a lot of arm movements as well. We're trying to warm up the shoulders. Let's do one arm each side. And last one. And now we're going to shift your body forward. So now you're pulling your hips back and you're going to hinge forward slightly. We're going to bend your elbows into your side here, stretching the arms out in front of your body. So now your body's at a slight forward hinge. You're keeping your hips kind of open here. You're pressing out through your tailbone, elongating here, elongating through the top of your head. Bend it in and out. Bend it in. And let's do a few more here. Just stretching through the shoulders, reaching it out. And one more. And we're going to do one arm at a time. So we're going to bend here and then stretch it out. So keeping your shoulders square to your feet, square in front of you here. We're not going to add a rotation just yet. We're just trying to connect into the core, into this position, pulling the elbow back and stretch. Breathing here. And let's do a couple more each side. And one more. Good. And let's lift yourself all the way up. So you're pulling in the core. We're going to start to circle the arms around, reaching them forward, lifting up and around. So doing a nice circle here, checking in to make sure you're not arching the spine, you're not tucking the spine. And then reverse. So can you feel the inner thighs working here? I want you to check in with your inner thighs and pelvic floor, making sure that you're feeling there. We're also trying to get a nice little stretch in the pelvic floor at the same time, so we want to make sure that we strengthen, but also stretch that. And then one more. And then we're hinging forward slightly through here. We're going to take one arm out to the side, reaching it forward here. So you're opening up the chest. So we're keeping your shoulders square, but still opening up the shoulders, pulling in the core. So this is the same type of feeling when you're standing and your feet are in parallel. You still want to feel like you're lifting in and up. It's just a little slightly different leg position. And let's do one more each side. And last one. And then you're going to take your arms back behind you. So you're pulling into your chest and you're stretching out to your fingertips. Let's start to do very tiny pulses up with the arms. Trying to stabilize your body here. So even though you're on a ball, we're trying not to wobble the ball. So tiny lifts here. Keep pulling in the core. And let's do a couple more here. And then hold. Just start to bend the elbows in, pressing it back. So we can do tiny bends and back. You're doing a little tricep press here, trying to create some length between your shoulders and your ears. Tiny press back. Keep the abdominals in. Let's do a few more. And one more. Reaching your hands forward. Let's open your arms out to the side, and you're going to take your hands down to your side as you start to walk your feet in. So now your feet are going to be in parallel here. You're stacking your body straight up on top of the ball. Shoulders are dropping down. We're going to reach one arm out to the side and then press it down. So you're keeping your core, and we're trying to stabilize on the ball here. Try not to shift your body from one side to the next. You can kind of go light on your fingertips, and you're going to kind of make sure that you're guiding with the arms here. Still engaging the inner thighs, so try to feel like you have a ball between the inner thighs. And drop. Let's do one more on each side. And last one. And then you're going to walk your hands forward so that you're reaching your fingertips towards your heels. We're going to do one arm up in front of you, drop it down, and other arm up. So you want to tell your legs to do something here. So we don't want it to just be about the arms or just about the abdominals. Your feet are planted down here, your abdominals are in, you're feeling your heels pull into the back of your legs. Lift. Also, if you're having any sort of sciatica, this is always great to sit on a ball like this. It'll add a little stretch there, and drop it down. And let's lift, and lower, and lift. And let's do one more each side, and up. And then we're going to take your arms out to the side. You can lightly tap on the floor. Walk your feet out a little bit further away here. We're going to hover one leg up and drop it down. And let's hover the opposite leg up, drop it down. So you are going to feel your quads, you're going to feel your hip flexors. I want you to try to feel the glutes as well. Abdominals stay in and up. And you're going to try not to shift your weight backwards over the ball. We're going to try to keep yourself really stacked up. It's a very tiny lift here. And lift. And let's do a few more each side. And lift. And one more each side. And lift. And then we're going to walk your feet to the center, open up your knees. Here we're going to do the same thing with an external rotation. So we're going to hover one leg up, drop it down. And let's hover. And feel like the inner thigh is kind of lifting your leg up. So that's the piece that's kind of lifting up through here. Keeping the abdominals in. Lift and lower. And lift. So tiny, tiny little kind of marches with the legs here. Keeping the core engaged. Let's do a couple more on each side. And one more on each side. And lift. And then from here, start to squeeze your knees together. Just open your knees up wide. We're going to feel the resistance in between your inner thighs. I want you to connect into the low abdominals as you squeeze the knees, squeeze the inner thighs, and lift up out of the abdominal wall here, dropping the shoulders. And squeeze. And squeeze. So it's learning how to connect that inner thigh work with your abdominals. Squeeze here. And let's do 3 more. And 2 more. And 1 more. And then you're going to squeeze your knees, separate your feet very slightly. I want you to hinge forward just a tiny bit. So it's almost like you're pulling your hips backwards, pulling the core in. We're going to start to reach your hands in front of you here. I want you to stretch one arm out in front of you. And then you're going to reach it behind you. So we're stretching it, elongating it behind you, stretching it forward and back. So all the way forward. Your other arm is just kind of tapping towards the floor. You can just like very lightly tap your fingertips, kind of like down by where your shin is. And back. Very slight forward hinge here. And then 1 more. Taking that arm back, you're going to open it up slightly out into the side and then squeeze that hand behind your shoulder. So you're keeping your abdominals in, trying to stabilize your body in the center. Very tiny here. Very tiny movement. And squeeze. So abdominals stay in. Try to really relax the shoulders. And really using your abdominals to support your back. So we are strengthening your back here. You will feel it working also if you feel any sort of lower back pain. Take a moment just to fold over in front. Take a butterfly stretch. You can step off the ball for a second. And 1 more. And then you're going to reach that hand forward. Let's switch over to the other side. So make sure that you're at that very slight forward hinge. So my chest is on my knees. I'm giving myself a little bit of space, but I'm slightly hinged forward. You're going to reach this hand forward, stretching it out as you elongate out of your oblique, taking that hand back, opening up the chest. So you're reaching it forward and back. So tell yourself that this movement is an oblique exercise. So you're reaching that arm back and forward. And back. And let's do a couple more here. Finding your center. Finding kind of that place where you can focus your eyes on. Forward. And back. Let's do 1 more here. Taking that hand back, just starting to open that arm out into a T, pulling it back into your side. So tiny open about to the side, finding your center. Having to really hold onto your abdominals to stabilize on this ball. Open and squeeze. Let's do a few more here. Keep your breathing going. 1 more. And then reach that arm all the way up. You're going to drop the hands down through here, pulling in the core, and we're going to hinge forward, making sure this hinge forward is really controlled in the abdominals. We're going to try to take both arms back behind you, keeping the abdominals in, and then just start to do very tiny pulses up with the arms. Keeping the core engaged, tiny pulses. You can always drop your fingertips down if you need a moment to collect yourself, because the second you start to wobble on the ball, it kind of creates a little bit of momentum there. So really pull the core in. And let's do a couple more here. And then hold. We're going to try to stretch your arms out in front of your body, reaching them out here, squeezing your pinkies back behind you. So I want you to keep your palms facing down to the floor. Reaching your hands up, all the way back, and all the way up. Pulling in the core, stretching out through the fingertips and back. And let's do 3 more here. You can also, if your hip flexors start to aggravate you, you can open up your knees slightly too. That'll give you a little bit more space here, a little bit of a relaxing break on the hip flexors. And 1 more. And then take your arms by your side, open up your legs here. Just reach your hands forward. Just give your hips a stretch. You can kind of rock side to side, stretch out through your spine. And then we're going to slowly roll the spine up. I want you to lift up in the chest through here, and then pull your chin in. We're going to roll through the spine, create a little bit of mobility in the spine here. Stretch it out, pulling the abdominals in, and let's lift. And 1 more. So try to really drop down through the head, rolling through the spine, stretching out through your fingertips. And then let's lift back up. Okay, let's take your ball in between your knees. And then we're going to go onto your hands here. So giving that ball a slight squeeze. It's going to be a little bit of a different position because now everything feels like it's nice and opened up. I want you to do a couple cat and cows here. So feet are flat, rounding all the way up in the abdominals. And then pull the shoulders back, opening up the chest. You can exhale here. And let's do one more. You're going to round all the way up. And then come back to center. You're going to start to tuck your toes underneath. We're going to hover your knees up and we're going to hold there. So I want you to hold in this position, pulling the abdominals in. We're going to go into your cat and cow with the knee lifted. So you're going to round up in the abdominals here. And then you can go into a slight extension or you can just go into a flat back, whatever feels most comfortable for you. You're trying to keep your knees hovered. Open up the chest. Let's do one more. Pulling the abdominals in. And open up the chest. And then coming back to center. Let's drop the knees down. Unfold the toes, and then you're going to shift forward just an inch here. Start to bend your elbows into your side. Your chest goes down to the floor, pushing up through the hands. So your abdominals are controlling this move. Your elbows stay in. Very tiny here. Pushing it up. Keep the core engaged. Tiny pulses. So remind yourself the length from your shoulders to your ears, trying to get longer and longer. Your spine is trying to stay in neutral, so you're in a little bit of a flat back here. Core is engaged. And let's do one more. And then coming back to center, you're going to start to tuck your toes underneath. We're going to hover your knees up again and hold. And now again, we're going to go into cat and cow. So I want you to round the abdominals all the way up. Exhale into an extension. Pull the core in, rounding all the way up here. Exhale into an extension, so you're opening up the chest. Let's do one more. You're going to round all the way up. Coming back to center here. Drop the knees down. Uncurl the toes, and then let's turn your fingers facing inwards. You're going to make a triangle shape. Shifting your weight forward, shoulders are back, abdominals are in. Now your elbows are going to bend on a diagonal backwards, but not in towards your body. So your chest goes down to the floor, pushing up through the palms and lifting here. Bending it back, pulling in the core. So we're keeping all of that strength that we worked on with your inner thighs, pelvic floor, abdominals to support these moves when your arms are moving. So you're reminding yourself that you're slightly forward, bend to the elbow, pushing it up here. And let's do 3 more here. Keep the core nice and tight to support your back. And 1 more. Pulling your fingertips back to center, we're going to do 1 more cat and cow. And if at this point lifting your knees up is just too much, you can drop your knees and do cat and cow there, no problem. Tuck your knees underneath. Tuck your toes, sorry. Hover the knees here. We're going to pull the abdominals in, rounding up, exhaling as you go into a very slight extension. Let's round all the way up. Exhale into a slight extension. And then we're going to round up here. Come back to center. Drop the knees down, unfold the toes, stretch out through the arms. So you're going to elongate out through the arms here. And then we're going to pull your weight forward. You're going to make your way onto your forearms, so you're going to make a triangle here. So give yourself enough space here so that when you tuck the toes underneath, we're going to go into a full plank. So you're going to pull your shoulders back, stretching out through your legs, keeping the abdominals in. Just start to dip your knees down to the floor. Press through the heels. I want you to dip, stretch it out. So you're squeezing the ball. Trying to really lengthen out of the front of your legs as you press through the heels. So you're stretching it out, keeping your hips in the same position. Making sure that your chest is forward so that your shoulders are back. Dip. And let's do 2 more. And 1 more. And bend your knees through here. Sitting all the way back into your child's pose, stretching through those arms. We're going to slowly start to roll through the spine. You're gonna start to hover your feet up. You can squeeze your heels here. We're gonna lift up into an extension. So you're gonna lift up out of the shoulders, stretching through the upper body. Pull the core in, sitting all the way back into a child's pose. And now you're gonna pull the abdominals in, slowly roll it forward, lifting up in the feet. Shoulders are back. Keep breathing here. Let's go all the way back, stretching through the hands, pulling in the core. Lifting in and up. All the way back. Let's do one more here. Pulling in the abdominals. Lifting up through the chest. And then pressing it all the way back. Start to tuck your toes underneath. We're going to make our way onto our forearms. Again, we're going to go out into another modified plank. So pull your weight forward first in this position. You can keep your knees down also if it's a little bit too much, and just kind of lift up in the chest, tucking your toes underneath. Let's press your legs all the way out and rotate your knees slightly over to the right. We're going to dip the knees down, pressing it out. Very tiny dip. Your hips are just very slightly rotated, but your chest is staying square to the floor. And out. Still squeezing that ball. Still staying lifted up off the shoulders. Try not to allow your chest to dip down to the floor. Let's do one more. Come back to center. Bend the knees. Let's sit back into a child's pose one more time, using this moment to stretch out through your arms, stretch out through your spine. And then we're going to come back onto your forearms. So it's always better to kind of find this modified plank position first, then start to tuck your toes underneath, pressing it out, then rotate over to the side and dip the knees down and out. So shoulders are back, you're going to dip and out. Very tiny dips. Pulling in the core here. And let's do 3 more. 2 more. And 1 more. Back to center. Drop the knees down. Reaching out through your arms, one last little roll through with this nice extension here. We're going to pull in the abdominals. Start to hover your feet up. Let's lift up out of your shoulders. Getting a nice extension here. Pulling through the core, stretching out through the fingertips. And let's roll through the abdominals. Let your head be the last piece here. And lift, staying really lifted up. So you're also working kind of your pecs. Everything is going to pull up your lats. You're going to feel that as you lift up out of your shoulders. Very, very high up to the ceiling. And back. Sitting back into a child's pose, you're going to slowly start to roll the spine up. We're going to end up on your knees here. Reaching the hands all the way up to the ceiling. So I want you to stay stacked on top of your knees. Your palms are facing inwards here. You're going to press your hands down to the floor. Turn your palms facing outwards. You're going to lift up through here and down. So just actively moving your arms in space here, pulling in the core, also allowing this moment to stretch out of your shoulders because we did a lot of shoulder support right there. Lift it up and down. And 1 more. And down. And you're going to stretch your arms out in front of you. Let's lift them up. Let's go into a couple arm circles in both directions. And then reverse. And last one. Awesome. Let's grab onto the ball. Take your feet to the front of the mat. We're going to start with your heels together, knees slightly apart, and the ball's going to be underneath your lower back. So you're going to press your body up against the ball first. My glutes are sore. This is like adding a nice little massage on the floor here. So grabbing it underneath your knees, squeezing your heels together. We're going to start by just adding some mobility in the spine. So you're going to pull the abdominals in, rounding forward through here. And then once you just open up the chest, stretching out here. So I'm not pulling my weight all the way up tall. I'm still giving it a little hinge on the ball. You're just rounding the core and pressing down into the ball. Opening up the chest here. Starting to connect very deeply in the low abdominals, feeling how the low abdominals connect to your pelvic floor and the inner thighs and kind of how everything is working in unison here. And then 1 more. And then up. So you're gonna start to stretch your arms out through here, dropping the shoulders down. Let's open one arm out to the side, pull that arm back to center. You're gonna open out in that other arm. So I'm slightly resting on the ball, but I'm not putting all my weight onto there. I'm really trying to lift up through the core, making sure that my abdominals are lifted. The ball is there for just some extra support here. Let's open. And find your range of motion of your arm too. If your arm feels like it goes only about halfway and you can keep your body supported there, that's absolutely okay. It doesn't have to open all the way up. Everybody has their own mobility and their own strength in all of these exercises, so really listen to your body first. One more each side. And last one. Holding your arms here, we're going to lower down over into the ball. Pull the abdominals in as you lift very slightly. I want you to squeeze the heels together. Feel your heels pulling back into your glutes so you can relax your quads slightly. And lift. Let's do a few more here. And one more. And then we're going to hover about halfway, start to draw very tiny circles of the arms. So the circles come from your shoulders here. So same like when we do the leg work where I'm telling you to kind of circle from the hip, it's the same thing. It's like your whole shoulder girdle here is creating this circle. So you're intentionally moving the arms around, keeping the core engaged. You're breathing here as well. And let's do two more. Back to center. Let's round back very slightly, lifting it up, pulling the abdominals in. So you might not be able to see kind of how I'm rounding in the core, but I'm like pulling the core in here. Like this is kind of the guiding muscle here. So you're kind of like pressing it down, lifting it up here and hold. Let's do the reverse circle. Tiny circles here, keeping the core engaged. Very tiny. Still breathing through the motion as well. And let's do a few more here. Back to center. Let's round it down very slightly, lifting up through the core. Drop it down and lift. And let's do a few more here. Two more. And one more. And you're going to hold. We're going to circle your arms all the way around. Ooh, this is a challenging part. And then take your hands back slightly. So you're going to open up your arms nice and wide. You're going to lower down just a tiny bit. So your hands aren't like exactly behind your body. We're going to take them wide. You can either go into your fingertips. You can drop your palms flat. We're going to pull the core in here. Start to squeeze the knees together. Open the knees out to the side. So you're squeezing here. Feeling your inner thighs, pelvic floor connecting this movement. And squeeze. Still breathing and still trying to keep your chest nice and in neutral and your hips in neutral and your spine very protected here. Trying not to put too much weight into your elbows. And one more. Open up the knees. We're going to hover one leg up, drop it down. Let's hover the opposite leg up, drop it down. You're going to feel this lift. So also with these lifts, think of it less of like you're just trying to lift your foot up off the ground. Think you're trying to go like scoop and lift, like almost giving yourself like a little length and lift, almost like you're going like this is kind of the movement. And then it'll turn the hip flexors off a little bit, it'll connect a little bit into the glutes. And lift. And lift. And then we're going to hover one leg out here. I want you to stretch that leg out. Start to bend your knee in. Stretching it out, bending the knee in. So you're keeping yourself lifted, keeping your abdominals in, checking in with your neck also. Make sure you can kind of like, you can look side to side here, allow your neck to relax. So you're not like opening it up too much, you're not pulling it too far, and you're keeping it kind of straight. And also working the front and the back evenly here. One more. Drop it down. Let's hover the opposite leg up here. Start to stretch that leg out. Bend the knee in. Stretching it out. Bend it in. Let's do three more here. Two more. And one more. And then dropping that foot down. Start to lift yourself up off your arms as you reach your hands forward here. Pulling in the core. You're going to lower down again. Let's lift, lower, and lift. Very tiny movements here. We're going to keep this upper body pulse going. You're going to start to squeeze your knees. And then keep your legs in parallel, feeling how it shifts, you know, the positioning of where you're having to pull your inner thighs in, your abdominals. Let's do a few more. And one more. And we're going to hold here. We're going to circle one arm around. We're going to circle the other arm around. Keeping the abdominals still, trying to create that length in your back. You can also, if it feels like super intense here, you can grab on with one arm as the other arm goes around. So there's always so many modifications we can do to still connect very deeply, but not power through. So we take it into your back or take it into any muscle that is already overworking. So lift it up and around. And last one. Last little bit here. Let's lower down very tiny bit, pull the core in and lift. Very tiny pulses through here. And let's do 3 more. 2 more. And 1 more. Let's lift all the way up. Let's open up the knees and take your butterfly stretch. You deserve this stretch. We've done so much for the hip, so allow this moment to stretch out through your upper body. We're going to add a nice little rotation here. So keeping your knees nice and wide, stretching out through those arms. We're going to take the ball over to the left arm, and your right hand is going to extend. We're going to start to pull the abdominals in. You're going to lift up, rotate over to the right as your arm circles back. Reach it up and forward, and then stretch out through the spine. So we're going to control this movement from your abdominals. Everything I've been telling you about this lift and this corkscrew twist up to the ceiling, we're going to continue that movement here and really use your abdominals to rotate. Let's do 1 more in this direction. And then we're going to switch over to the opposite arm. So stretching out through here, pulling the core in. Let's lift it up and twist over to the side. Up and down, all the way out. It's a great chance to collect your breath as well. Up and over. And 1 more. All the way up and over. And then let's come back in here, rolling it up, and you're going to start to take the ball between your knees. We're going to go into a full roll down. So at this point, if you're not finding that the roll down feels right for you, this is where you're going to do the half roll down. So we'll start with a little bit of a prep. So you're going to pull the abdominals in. We're going to scoop and roll down. You're going to roll right to about here, rolling through the spine, and we can lift up in the chest. Let's do 1 more here. Pulling in the abdominals. It's really about mobilizing every vertebrae here, rounding back. Obviously still core, but creating that mobility in your spine. We're going to start to do the full roll down. Rolling through the spine. Let's peel it down 1 vertebrae at a time. Hands come up over your head. Let's circle the arms around, pulling the chin in, slowly starting to roll back up. And lift, scoop and roll down. So you're dropping the shoulders, still giving that ball a little squeeze. Taking your hands up over your head, getting that nice thoracic kind of stretch and pressure in your middle upper part of your back will feel really nice right about now. Roll it down, peeling through the spine. Taking your hands up, let's circle it around. And lift, and 1 more. All the way down. And up, let's circle the arms around, pulling the chin in, and lift up. And then grabbing onto your ball, making your way down onto your floor. I'm going to start with a ball underneath this leg here. So I'm going to give it a nice little squeeze, making sure that you have a nice grip on it, where you're feeling like your heel is pulling into your glute, you're activating your hamstring, your calf, your abdominals. Hands are behind your head. I want you to curl up looking towards your abdominals as your other leg goes into tabletop. So you can relax the toes here. It's really focusing on the core. We're going to dip 1 leg down and then dip the other. So we're just doing tiny little dips here. Keeping your spine in neutral, really connecting into the core. Very tiny dips. You can also, if your head being lifted feels a little bit too much on your neck or on your core, You're welcome to drop it down here also, as long as you don't arch in the spine. It's a little bit of a different challenge in the core. Sometimes it's nice to switch it up, but you can also try to do both. And then drop. Very tight here. And then let's do one more. And now you're going to start to extend this leg as you bend the opposite knee in. So now we're adding an extension here. Stretching it out. So you're elongating out of the spine, elongating out of the leg and hip flexor quad all the way out through your foot. You're also pressing your head into your arms so that you're not straining in the neck. And stretch it out. Let's do a few more here. And now we're going to do a straight leg. So this leg is going to come up as you tap that opposite leg. Drop it down. So you're going to go tap it up. Drop it down. So as you lift it up, we're trying not to tuck in your hips. So your range of motion will really be dependent on your neutral pelvis. So keep it small, keep it controlled. You want to really move intentionally again in this position. Let's do two more. And one more. And then you can drop this foot down. Drop your other foot down. Let's take your arms out into a T. We're going to do a little bit of bridging here. Making sure you have a nice squeeze on that ball. We're going to slowly start to tuck and lift all the way up. So it's going to feel like you're letting the ball go very slightly. You can walk your heels in a little bit. And then we're going to scoop and roll down. You're going to squeeze the ball even more. You're thinking hamstring, calf. Tailbone presses down to activate the glute. So your abdominals push the tailbone down to activate the glute. Slowly start to tuck and lift up. Hips lift up nice and high, putting some pressure onto your shoulders, but lengthening out of your neck. And then scoop and roll down. And then let's lift this up. Slowly rolling up. Pulling in the core, opening up the chest. And scoop and roll down. And let's do one more. Let's lift it all the way up here and hold. So we're keeping the abdominals in. Start to turn your palms facing up to the ceiling. I want you to pull your hands up above your shoulders so you're actively squeezing your hands in. Start to open your arms out wide. Squeeze the arms in through here. So you're putting weight into your heels, but also equally on your big toes and your little toes. So you're planting your feet very flat, engaging the inner thighs. Your feet are about hip width apart, but you're still trying to squeeze the knees together, the inner thighs together, even though there's no ball there. You're still creating your own resistance. Let's do two more. And one more. Opening the arms out wide. You can turn your palms facing down to the floor again, or you can keep your palms facing up, whatever feels comfortable for you. And slowly roll down. And then your hands come back behind your head. I want you to curl up looking towards your abdominals, and you're going to hover this leg up. So the leg that's squeezing the ball is going to stay planted there, but I want you to really drop this tailbone down, connecting into the glute. Stretching this leg up through here. We're going to drop it down to the floor. We're going to bend the knee in and stretch it up. So let's elongate out of that leg, bend the knee and stretch. So reaching it out, trying to get a nice range of motion here, really pulling in the core. And let's do one more. And then we're going to reverse. So you're bending it in. As you lift your leg, I want you to flex the foot up. So we're pointing the toe, and then you're going to flex that foot as you lift. You feel a nice stretch in the back of your legs, really reaching out through the heel. Two more. And one more. And then bend that knee in. We're going to lower the upper body down and then stretch your arms out. Extending this leg up. We're going to go into some tiny circles. So you're going to externally rotate first. You're going to open your leg out to the side. Lift it up. So very tiny circle. Try to think inner thighs, abdominals. We're going to try not to shift the hips, but still circling in that hip socket. And let's do one more. And then reverse here. Very tiny. Tiny circles here, keeping the abdominals in. Try to relax your neck as much as possible. Let's do one more. And then bend this knee in, taking your hands behind your head. Curling up here, hovering that opposite leg up. We're going to add a little twist. You're going to rotate towards the knee with the ball, dip it down here and rotate to the opposite side. So we're going to keep rotating. I want you to try not to do a curl up towards your knee. You're going to try to do a rotation looking back towards your back elbow. Tiny rotation here. And stretch. And let's do 2 more on each side. And 1 more on each side. And then stretching this leg all the way out. You can take the ball from here, pull this knee into your chest. You can actually take the ball off to the side for a second. And then crossing your foot over towards that opposite shoulder, and then you're going to pull that whole side in. And then we're going to take your hand across the knee, twisting, looking past your opposite fingertips. Opening up the chest here, getting a nice rotation of the spine. Taking a deep breath. And let's come back to center. We're going to go right over to that opposite side. So taking the ball here, giving it a nice squeeze first. Hands behind your head, and we're going to curl up, lengthening out of the tailbone. So really getting into this position first, really nailing that neutral pelvis. But if your lower back hurts at any point, add a little mini tuck here so you can imprint your back onto the ground. So listen to your body first. Okay. We're going to hover here. We're going to tap and tap. So just a tiny movement here. Very tiny. So checking in with your neck here also. Making sure you are slightly lifted, but the lift is coming more from the core and not just your chin trying to lift. So we're keeping this position. Tiny movements here. And keep breathing. And then we're going to start to stretch out in this left leg. So you're going to extend it out, bend it in. One thing too is to think of this movement as a very fluid motion. So there's no end to it. You're reaching it out and then you're drawing it in and then you're reaching it out. You're constantly moving here, stretching it out and out. And let's do a few more of these. And out. And 1 more. And then we're going to go into a straight leg. So you're going to stretch it out. You're going to lift that leg up as you tap. Drop it down. And lift. And lift. And now you can see how both sides are working. The second side might be a little bit more challenging after the fatigue sets in of all of this abdominal work. But really intentionally moving still. And let's do 2 more. And 1 more. And bend the knee in. We can drop 1 foot at a time. And now we're taking your arms into a goalpost position. So we're going to walk your feet in. We're going to lift up here. It's almost easier to get up into the bridge first. Walk your heels in, especially with the ball underneath the knee. Arms are in the goalpost, and you're keeping your hips up nice and high, really lifting up through the core here. You're going to scoop and roll down 1 vertebrae at a time. Rolling through the spine, drop the tailbone down. Let's lift it up. So we're going to use this moment to stretch through the vertebrae. Try to really work through any sort of little buildup in lactic acid there. We're rolling it down, trying to even out and aligning your body back into center. Lifting it up. And then slowly dropping it down. And let's do 2 more here. Let's lift it up. Really leading through the core, and then at the top, your glutes are going to pull in and up and kind of lift up through here. You're going to feel that, but I want you to lead here. Scoop and roll all the way down. And then we're going to lift all the way up. We're going to hold up at the top, ground your feet. So heels, big toes, little toes, everything is really pressing down. You're zipping up through the inner thighs, and you're going to start to squeeze your elbows above your head and open it up. So we're squeezing here. And open. Hips stay nice and high, zipping through those biceps and pecs, and we're really working to squeeze the arms, really opening it up too. And let's do 3 more. And 2 more. And last one. Opening the arms up here. Let's scoop and roll down 1 vertebrae at a time. Taking your hands behind your head and then curling up, looking towards your abdominals, hovering this opposite leg up. So we're going to reach that leg up to the ceiling, ground your tailbone down, making sure your hips are in neutral here, dropping that leg down, bend the knee and stretching it up. So we're doing a full range of motion here. Checking in with your shoulders, your core stays engaged. Actively moving, actively engaging this other side of your leg too. So you're trying not to just hold this leg here to stabilize. You're still pulling the heel into your glutes, keeping the core engaged. Let's do 2 more. And 1 more. And now we're going to reverse. We're bending the knee. Oops. Press it out. You're going to flex the foot as you lift up. Bend the knee, stretch it out, flex the foot as you lift. All the way out. Flex and lift. And let's do 2 more. So you're thinking out and up, grounding the tailbone down so you really connect behind your leg. Flex and lift. Bend in. You can lower your head down. You can take your arms either into the goalpost or stretch them all the way out as you lengthen out your toe. Externally rotate very slightly and start to go into some small circles here. So think a full breath on every circle. You can inhale here, exhale as you lift it back up. Let's do 3 more. 2 more. And 1 more. And then reverse. Very tiny. 3 more here. Keeping a long spine, keeping a long neck. And 1 more. Bending that knee and taking your hands behind your head. We're going to curl up the last little piece here to even out. Your other knee comes into tabletop. Grounding the tailbone, pulling the core in, and we're going to start to rotate. Oops, we did the dip, so just dip first. And dip. And dip. And then start to stretch it out. So we're twisting and stretching. We're twisting in both directions here, trying to keep your hips in neutral, trying to keep your spine just rotating along your spine, trying not to add like a full twist in the hips as well. Twist and twist, looking towards your back shoulder here if you can. And twist. And let's do 1 more on each side. And then pull your knees into your chest. And then we're going to stretch this leg all the way out. Grab onto your ball. You can ditch it off to the side for a moment. Crossing this foot here, getting a nice piriformis stretch. So we're crossing the foot over towards your opposite shoulder and then pulling that whole shape in towards your body. And then crossing here, getting a nice rotation. And we got some nice back cracks here. Twist and look towards your opposite hand. And then let's pull your knees back to center, taking the ball between your knees, squeezing your feet together. We're going to do some rolling like a ball. So slowly start to lift up through here. We're going to add just a little momentum on this first one. I want you to lift up, pulling the core in. Shoulders are dropped. We're going to scoop and roll it back. Lift it up here and hold. Scoop it back. Lift it up and hold. Really controlling this movement from your core. So your core is driving the move. We're trying not to pick up too much momentum. You're also kind of tucking your tailbone always. You're never going to like prop all the way up. You're always adding just a little mini tuck. And let's do 1 more. And then we're going to open up your knees, take 1 butterfly stretch here. Stretch it through, elongating out through the spine. And then we're going to flip over onto your hands and knees. So we're going to go into a little bit of kind of a rotation in your lower half, but your upper half is facing down to the floor. So your knees are underneath your hips here. You're going to turn one palm facing inwards and the other hand is going to be on top of the ball. So we're twisting your shoulders down to the floor. I want you to extend through the same leg as the hand on the ball. So I'm going into my left here. I'm going to hover this leg up. I'm opening up the hip to start. So what you're going to do here is you're going to twist your hip down to parallel, and then you're going to start to open up both hips and extend out to the side. So we're just rotating the hips down to the floor in parallel. opening up the hips. So it's also equally opening up that bottom hip. So you're lifting up off that knee, opening up your hip here. Let's do 2 more. And 1 more. And then you're going to open it up here and hold. Now we're going to twist and look towards your knees. So your whole body is going to twist over to the knee as you stretch out through that leg, and then twist your upper body down to the floor. So we're reaching out in 2 different directions. You're twisting, stretching it out. Bend it and twist, and twist. And let's do a few more here. Stretch it out. 2 more. And 1 more. You're going to stretch it out here. Your body's going to rotate down to the floor, and then you're still externally rotating in this hip. We're going to tap that foot down and lift. Tapping it down, lifting it up. So you're keeping the hip open, still stretching out through your neck. You're trying to pull this arm in towards your body so that your shoulders are away from your ears, your neck stays long. Let's do 2 more here. 1 more. Lifting up here and hold. Do tiny pulses up with that top leg. Keeping the core engaged. Tiny pulses. Let's do 3 more. 2 more. And then 1 more. Bending that knee down and then taking this leg in front of you into your pigeon stretch. Very small but very effective in how deep that muscle starts to work. So let's stretch it down, elongating out through both legs. Find whatever pigeon stretch feels right for you. You can tap on that hip. Also, if you are up here, you can bend your knee, just hold it here. Wherever your pigeon stretch feels like you can get a little bit of the stretch in your leg and your glute. And then we're going to flip right over to the other side. So we're going to start on your knees here. You're going to turn your hand facing inwards. So it's almost as if we're kind of in this position. First, you turn your hand inwards, but you're still facing down to the floor. Stretching out through this back leg, opening it up. Opening up the hip, but then twisting your shoulders back down to the floor. So now we're going to internally rotate back to parallel that leg. Open that hip up. So we're internally rotating here, opening up both hips to reach it up, pulling the shoulders back, keeping the core in, trying to really use your lower abdominals to support yourself here, to really kind of utilize this movement effectively by pulling in your low abdominals, opening it up. Let's do 2 more. And 1 more. And then we're going to hold here. We're going to start to bend the knee and we're twisting over to the knee. So you're adding a nice rotation here, stretching out, also rotating down to the floor. So now we're twisting in one direction, stretching it out, elongate here. Bending it in, stretching it out. Let's do 3 more. 2 more. And 1 more. You're going to hold it here, keeping your chest down to the floor. Your hip stays nice and open. You're going to tap and lift. Tap and lift. Pull your shoulders back. We're at the very end of the class. This is kind of the last little piece here. 2 more. And lift. And then 1 more. Let's lift up here and hold. Do tiny pulses up. Keep the abdominals in. Let's do 3, 2, and 1. Whew. Bend that knee down. Let's take a pigeon stretch on that opposite leg. That got me at the end. I was like, okay, it is the end of class, and I'm feeling it very much into my glutes, into my abdominals here. Find your pigeon stretch. You can take your head on the ball too. It's kind of nice if the ball can act as a pillow too. Never drop it down. Whew. You can tap on that hip. Let's flip your legs around. Let's do a little leg inversion. Let's lower yourself all the way down. You're going to lift your hips up. Take the ball underneath your tailbone. You're going to grab into the ball. I want you to pull your knees into tabletop. And you're going to start to pull your knees into your chest. And you're going to kind of stretch through your spine. You're going to allow yourself to kind of curl into a little ball. And then we're gonna come back here and just dip your legs down slightly, but holding your back in neutral. So this is a tuck. You are pulling into a nice tuck here. You're taking your feet down slightly, but holding the neutral pelvis, trying not to arch. Pull the knees in here. And then out. And let's do one more. And then we're going to come back into tabletop. You're going to open up your knees. We're going to do the same thing with an externally rotated hip. So now we're going to pull your knees in here. You feel a nice little stretch in your glutes. Go into neutral as you dip your legs down very slightly. Pull your knees in here. You're stretching through the hips. You'll feel a little bit of that piriformis glute stretch there too. Pull your knees in here. And let's do two more. And breathing through, giving your shoulders a nice time to relax. And then let's take your legs all the way up. Let's give them a little wiggle here. Dropping your right foot all the way down to the floor. Let's take your left knee into your chest, stretching out to the right side of your body. Actively pulling your leg outward so it feels like you're getting even a deeper stretch in your hip flexor. And let's switch legs here. Pulling it in. Stretching out through your leg. And then let's drop your feet down. Let's lift your hips up off the ball, slowly rolling the spine down. And then we're going to flip over and we're going to sit on top of the ball again. So we're going to kind of end where we started. So you're going to be sitting on top of the ball. So feel really great to stretch out the glutes as well. Piriformis, pelvic floor. You also need to equally stretch that out. So just a reminder there. Take your feet nice and wide. You're going to reach your hands forward. You're going to slowly start to pull the chin in. We're going to peel the spine out, stretching out through the arms. And then you're using your abdominals to slowly start to roll back up. Your head is going to be the last piece here and lift. And then you're going to pull your chin in. Let's roll it out. And keep your knees nice and wide, but really finding your position that feels right for you. You might have more mobility than me. You might have less, and that's okay. You kind of want to listen to your body. Allowing this moment to stretch through your neck, stretch out of the spine. Also here, stretching through the hips. Lifting it up. On this next one, we're going to stay all the way down, so you're going to pull the chin in. We're going to stretch through your arms. I want you to just kind of rock over onto one side and just hold this position for a few. So in this position, my left leg is straightening slightly. My right knee is kind of bending a little bit more. And I'm pulling this whole right side of my body backwards. I'm going to go over to the other side. You're kind of stretching it out here. And then let's come back to center, stretching through those hands, slowly rolling the spine up. Neck is the last piece. And you're all done, 60 minutes. Great job. Some new stuff today on sitting on top of the ball. How am I doing with timing? Okay, good. So I hope everybody liked that. It feels really great to kind of open up your hips in a way there too. Equally stretching out your pelvic floor and working it at the same time. I hope everybody is feeling good and feeling a little refreshed after this and a little bit more connected into your body and your mind. I feel like I always rub here because at the end I'm kind of like always needing like just some like movements. If anybody has a foam roller, now's a really great chance to kind of foam roll through your glutes. I don't know about you, but I'm really feeling it very intensely in here and in my stomach. I love you all. Thank you so much. I will be posting next week's schedule. I know things are kind of opening up and people are kind of back to work. So I'm kind of trying to play around with some more 30 minutes here and there so that we can make sure that we still get in some of that. So I love you all. Thank you for joining me. Have a great rest of your Sunday.